Hey, peace and blessings, everybody. Really quickly, I want to tell you that there comes a time in your life that you have to reach beyond your reflection that you see in the mirror. And I truly do believe you have to accept the mission to do more than just live for yourself. And that may sound counterintuitive to a society filled with selfish people, but I want to talk to those of you who understand you were not born just to exist. You know there's more. You know that you were really born to be an experience, an undeniable experience of impact, that when people encounter you, they encounter something that is very rare, very unique. And that happens when you live for something that's bigger than yourself. And I just want to encourage you to do that, because when you live for something that's bigger than yourself, there are a couple of things that happen. Number one, I've discovered that pain gains purpose. The second thing that happens when you live beyond yourself and you live for something bigger than yourself, I can testify that trials literally become your training, because we should be training for reigning, for our next level. And then last but not least, number three, our tests literally become our testimonies. I don't trust people who have not successfully passed the test of their lives. And when I think about Jesus Christ, Jesus didn't come just to be served. He didn't come to be served at all, really. He came to serve and to give his entire life for the entire world. What a perfect example of what it means to live for something bigger than yourself. And if we're going to follow Christ, then we have to kind of follow suit. And we have to be willing to serve, willing to be used by God, willing to become that experience that really points back to God. And that doesn't happen until we stop asking, what do we want from life? Stop asking, what do you want from life? And start asking this powerful question: what does God want from my life? Sit with that for a minute. What does God want from my life? And then let God give you the answer, and then pursue that. And I promise you, self-centered living will be the last thing that you will be interested in doing. You won't even be capable of doing it. The problem with self-centered living, it'll get you applause from people. But what's better than that? God-centered living. God-centered living will get you an audience with God for all eternity, and you'll hear him say, well done. And that's what I'm living for. I want to encourage you to know that you're not just here to make a living. Please don't get caught up in the rat race, because all you do is just be a rat winning cheese. You're called to make a difference. You're called to be the difference. You're called literally to be the answer to somebody's cry, somebody's prayer. And the proof of that is that you are literally evidence of God's grace. You're evidence of God in a human vessel on this planet to make a difference, to have impact, and to live beyond yourself. The purpose of a clock is to report the time. But I believe that the purpose of men, women, boys, and girls, the purpose of people, is to make a difference in time. I believe that we are here to make a difference in time that is undeniable, uncanny, unusual. And I want to encourage you to know that that's why you're here. And if you feel insignificant, if you feel irrelevant, if your life feels like a bore or like a chore, I promise you it's simply because you are not walking in purpose. Throughout my time in ministry, I have encountered many people who, for some reason, feel like purpose is a convoluted, complicated subject. And every chance I get, I encourage people to understand that your purpose, number one, it's not hidden and it's not hard. Your purpose is simple. It is to be the hands of God, to have the heart of God, and to be someone who God can extend himself through, so that people can know that in this human experience that there is the possibility of something greater. And that only happens when you and I surrender and submit to the purpose of living beyond self-centeredness, living beyond ourselves, and surrendering ourselves to God and saying, God, any way you can use me, use me. Whatever you want out of my life, God, I step back so that you can step in. Because I don't just want to be somebody who existed on this planet but did not make a difference in the people's lives that I experienced. And listen, you're not going to be for everybody. That's not your purpose. A Rolex is not for everybody. A Bentley is not for everybody. A Toyota is not for everybody. A skateboard is not for everybody. But I promise you, the skateboard, the Bentley, the Toyota is for somebody. And you are on this planet to make a difference in somebody's life. Trust me when I tell you that. And I want to encourage you to start exploring that so that you can really experience the joy that comes from living beyond yourself. I am so grateful to God that I have discovered this reality, that I walk in this truth, because I'd hate to fathom what my life would be like if I wasn't, if I didn't have purpose, if I didn't have meaning, if I didn't know for sure that my life was making a difference in the life of others, especially when life is hard, especially when life is challenging. I'm talking about your own personal life. People need to understand that part of your therapy in this crazy world is that when you are struggling, when you're going through, when you're frustrated, when you're in pain, when you're grieving, part of your therapy is to reach out so that you don't drown from within. Teach Pastor Troy Wynn Sr. It is to reach out and see in this crazy world, where can you make a difference? How can you make somebody's day? How can you make someone smile? Who can you make laugh? Who can you remind that this too shall pass? Who can you be a light for? Even when you are in the dark place, that is a part of your therapy. If you don't believe me, keep drowning within. Keep focusing on you, yourself, your issues, and your problems, and watch it overtake you. Watch it destroy you. Watch it suffocate you, because we were not created to be self-absorbed and self-consumed. We were created to be self-aware that life is bigger than us. And life is bigger than our problems and our stuff and our issues. And I am very aware. And that awareness is literally keeping me alive. And it's keeping me going. I got a message from someone in my ministry yesterday after I had ministered a sermon entitled Scars. Powerful message, powerful service, man. You can clearly see God is doing something phenomenal at the Freedom Church for people who are hungry and willing to grow. Again, not for everybody, but definitely for somebody who is seeking something more in life than just going to work and struggling and searching for a greater purpose. And this person sent me a message and said that they just really wanted to thank God for me and thank me for doing what I do, submitting to God, hearing from God, preparing the messages that I prepare, that I know they come from God. I said something yesterday in the sermon that somebody in our congregation was on the verge of going back to a relationship that simply wasn't working then, isn't going to work now, and they were going to go back because life is bleak and sometimes there doesn't seem to be much to hope for or reach for in this world in terms of people and relationships. So sometimes we go back because we go back to that which we are familiar, even if it failed. Woo! Pastor Troy. It's just part of the human experience. Sometimes we have a tendency to spin the block when we should keep going. So I said that under the auspice of the Holy Spirit. God didn't tell me who it was for, but I knew it was for somebody sitting in the congregation. So I said it and didn't think twice about it. Moved on because I trust God. I know his voice and I say what he tells me to say. And that person sent me the message yesterday and said, I want to thank you because I was on the verge of going back to a relationship. And when you said that, it was almost as if God heard me, saw me, and loved me enough to speak directly to me in a crowd full of people. Folks, that's what it looks like to surrender yourself to God so that God can use you to be a blessing to somebody else. So, well, how does that bless me? I'll tell you how it blesses me. It lets me know my life is not in vain. It lets me know that God is using me to make a difference. It lets me know that I need to keep going on and I need to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm making a difference. And folks, knowing that you're making a difference makes a difference. Let me say that again. Knowing that you're making a difference makes a difference. And I just want to encourage you that you too are alive right now so that God can use you to make a difference in somebody's life. That is your purpose. Listen, I hope you have a blessed day today. And I hope that this will resonate and not ricochet off your soul, your mind, and your spirit. Let it soak in. Hear God in between my voice and just say yes. Yes, God, I hear you. I surrender to you. And I want to yield myself and my spirit to your spirit so that I'm not living this life of self-centeredness and I'm not just living for me, but I'm living for something that's bigger than me. Because if you're not, life really sucks. Let me know if this bless you. Leave a comment if you desire to do so. And even more importantly, if you don't leave a comment, please share this with someone else. I don't ask you to share for algorithms. I don't ask you to share for profit. I ask you to share because I am absolutely convinced that when I post a message, I believe it is for the masses. And I know for a fact that God is speaking to people through somebody like me. And I am grateful to God that he would allow me to be a part of his hands and to be a part of his heart. God bless you.